What is this? What have I been sent? Okay, this is a pretty funny meme. God damn it. Oh my god. Okay, well, maybe I need to think about my titles a bit better next time. First I was gonna say short men are kings, but then I was like, well, what about the NBs and the women? So I was just gonna say short people are kings. I'm like, wait, kings doesn't apply anymore. Short people are monarchs, but I'm like, no, fuck monarchies. So now I'm just in a weird perpetual state where I'm over explaining things that aren't even that funny to begin with. Academically established is your standard, because academics are purely logical and don't have any biases now, do they? Wait, academics have biases? Maybe then I can debate. Maybe that's how I do it. Maybe I should like, maybe Angry Foreigner and all the others declined because I challenged them one-on-one. Maybe what I should say is, hey, I challenge Angry Foreigner, Jellybean Jen, and Henrik Jönsson to a 3v1 debate on a topic of their choice. Maybe then they would feel confident enough to maybe come on and talk. Why do I look so tired? Why do I look like I've just smoked a fat blunt before hitting the record button? This guy doesn't leave his house. If he did, it wouldn't be in such an outro. I never leave my house. Actually, the Swedish government, because they know I do politics online, they lock me into my house so that I cannot actually engage with the outer world. And the only engagement I have is the articles and the studies I read, which are all like carefully curated by the Swedish state to make sure I have the incorrect perception. It's actually true. French teachers are retired villains. I swear to God. True. Fucking true. French teachers are nuts, okay? Oh, is that how Rose came out of the womb? What did it? What the hell? Maybe that is how. I haven't asked my mother. That sounds weird. Okay, we are doing a segment. Thoughts on the difference between Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish? Danish is get drunk and put 6 tomatoes in your mouth. Norwegian is get drunk and then pay 150 crowns for a pizza. Finnish is get drunk and then yell at bears in the forest. And Swedish is the superior language. I failed the I'm not a robot test twice. It's okay, Shuri. Just don't tell the feds. I can't change your mind. Your brain chemistry is literally exploding on fire and it's still growing at massive levels. That's right, my brain is perpetually growing, okay? Galaxy brain in just a few streams, okay? You won't be able, like, I'll have to, like, the entire camera will just be my face. This will just be my head because it just keeps growing at massive levels. All I have to do is wait for your frontal lobe to kick in. It will do the majority of the work for me. You guys, I think the chair won this debate. That's entirely possible, to be honest. The chair often blows me the F out. That's actually how I practice for my streams. I debate my chair over and over again. And then I have never once been able to meet an argument from somebody I've debated that I haven't been prepared for through debating my chair. The chair is a conservative. The chair is an omni-politician, okay? It can adopt any and all political positions depending on what situation is present. Jake deserves no rights. We don't endorse violence against any individuals, but if I had one wish, it would be that Jake Paul wakes up with wet socks every day. Communist, you know, leftist, nah, fuck that, okay? Wet socks, that's what it said. Fully automated luxury gay-based communism comes second to giving Jake Paul wet socks. Is there anything in particular you found interesting about my rebuttal or my response to it?
Yeah, I found it interesting how ardently you defend your own enslavement. As I was saying in the chat, I think this is where the term Stockholm Syndrome must come from.
Came from me, that is actually true. Australia believers Google on Australia by Einstein and tell me it exists again. Okay, let's see. Holy shit. You're actually right. I don't know, there's this meme that goes around often of like religious debate, like, can you disprove the existence of God? Like, no. I don't have to disprove the existence of something. Like, that's not how that works. Can you disprove the existence of an ethereal galactic turtle that controls all the weather with their urine and feces? Like, I don't know. I think the burden should probably be on the religious people, right? If you walked into like a restaurant, what's one thing you know that you'd be better than anybody else at? And for me, just foosball, like just straight up. I'm doing one more. Just one more. The words of an addict. One more game, I promise. I'll go to bed after. Ah, I wasn't paying attention. Stop asking me questions, Ree. Okay, I have to do one more because chat messed that last one up. Yeah, just one more, chat. One more. All right, now, this is the last one. I have to do one more. Okay, this is actually the final one. Unironically, this is the last one. This is from me to you. I promise that this is the final game I will be playing. Okay, now this is a good map. We like this. We like this. This is a good. Alright, it's been a good stream, everybody. Are you gay, bro? Who knows? Because this person right here believes that consent is only something that has to do with sexual stuff and sexual interactions, which is absolutely not the cake. Not the I read fruitcake in chat. Not the case. Someone did the question again. Someone did the question. Where does your name come from? Rose and Speed's Democratic Socialist symbol by Wyrist. You're precisely correct with that first. The rose most accurately symbolizes my ideological predilections of a left-leaning social democracy when it comes to the type of agenda I wish to push upon the world through my rhetoric. And it is with my wrist that I will write my revolutionary text that will lead us into the new epocha of human civilization. No, roses are pretty. And when I made my name, I played a lot of foosball, and you need your wrists to play foosball. So rose wrist kind of worked well together. That's it. That's the real reason. I give the same answer every time. Conservatism just eradicates with education, pretty much. The cure to conservatism is education, okay? That's my quote of the day. Being hooked is what a conservative imagine when you say free healthcare. You appease the conservatives because, haha, he said 2 genders, liberals. Wrecked. How excited are you to be able to drink in 1 year? You'll be 18, thank God you're versus super like the US racing. How excited am I that I'm going to be able to drink? I don't know, it'll depend because I've never ever drank before ever.
It will eventually be state mandated, if not already effectively speaking.
State mandated anti-racist cartoons. When you get up in the morning, hands will emerge from the sides of your bed, gripping your head still so you can't move. 2 smaller contraptions will release, holding your eyes open. At the foot of your bed, a 24-inch, ultra-thin, high-definition TV will spring up and play a total of half an hour of anti-racist Cartoon Network cartoons meant to indoctrinate you into the beliefs that racism is, in fact, bad. I have to tell you guys about this. This is some crazy shit. If this person is watching or anyone who knows about this is watching, it's too bad. I had a fucking crazy conversation. It was a bit of a celebration. It wasn't like a party or anything, but we were celebrating the fact that we'd finished our exams. It was a good time. We were vibing. We played some kub. Then we played like softball, and then I was sitting around a little like fire thing, roasting some marshmallows as one does. While I was doing that, some person came up to me, and they're like, "Hi, how are you doing?" I'm doing good. I hadn't spoken to this person in like 2 years of going to the same class as them. I'm doing good. I was like, yeah. I saw you were on Vosh like sometime. I was like, oh shit, yeah, I do YouTube stuff. I was on Vosh once, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I was like, yeah. I didn't watch it though because it was fucking boring. Okay. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. And then he was like, oh yeah, I don't know, like Vosh, nobody likes him, you know. The left doesn't like him, the centrist doesn't like him, the right doesn't like him. Like who likes him, you know? Like nobody really likes him. Like, you know, some people like him. Like I think he does some pretty cool stuff, and you know, some good advocacy or whatever. I think it's pretty important. Then we talked about it a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like he does a lot of like really weird things because he's not like a real leftist, right? I'm like, what do you mean by real leftist? Like, what's an opinion that you have? And it's like, well, you know, I think we should abolish all borders. Okay. Is this like a super long-term goal that you have, or is this something that we can do reasonably? I'm like, you know what? I think we could probably do it in the short term. I think we could probably do it really soon if we wanted to. Okay. You know, PSA, the fact that they had been drinking may have some part to play in these opinions being espoused, but holy fuck. I was like, okay. So, how is that going to work then? I mean, we right now in Sweden are seeing, you know, some issues with overloaded infrastructure or whatever, you know, and as an effect of that, increasing segregation, poverty, and crime rates and stuff like that. Like, you know, how are we gonna solve this? Like, how are you gonna justify it? It's like, oh, I don't care. Okay, interesting. It's like, oh, I think a life of a person born in Kenya is as much worth as a life of someone in Sweden. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you 100%. But shouldn't we try to make it like, you know, like consistent growth upwards instead of overloading systems in the short term and leading to like a potential like collapse brought about by a massive wave of immigration into a system, into like given social systems in which the infrastructure isn't prepared? And he's like, oh, no, I understand that things will go wrong. Like, I am in favor of making my life worse. Like, okay, That's interesting. Maybe we should do it like a bit, you know, like a bit slower, a bit, you know, like continuously. Like, oh, but why? Don't you think these people like deserve to have a good life as well? Yeah, I think they do. I just think we need to make sure it's done in a reasonable manner to ensure that we don't, you know, fucking collapse society in the meantime while going towards the goals that we want. It's like, what are you espousing these Sweden Democrat talking points? I'm like, okay, motherfucker, I see you. I see you. I was like, you know, like, fucking nothing about me. Like, don't throw that around. Like, this is really not Sweden Democrat shit. Like, people like you actually make my job so much harder. Like, what I'm trying to do, my political, like, project. Because every time I talk to Sweden Democrat, they say, oh, well, you guys on the left don't really believe what you're saying, Rose. They believe that we should abolish all borders. I'm like, no, nobody really believes that. But because of people like you, you know, I can't really disagree with them. And then he called me a racist. So yeah, that was an interesting exchange. And then I said, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna like jump off the bridge here nearby, like above the trains. Like, I give up. And I was like, please do. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. And then I left, and then like a little late, like 5 minutes later, no, like 10 minutes later when I was gonna leave, I was saying bye to everybody. And then while I was saying bye, this person was like, oh, talking politics with you is just so toxic. You were the one that literally encouraged me to jump off a fucking bridge. That was like an extreme Twitter moment. Like, I don't even know what to say. This like eradicated my faith in like everything. It's pain. It's suffering. It's awful. After my last stream, I was scrolling Twitter, as one does, and I noticed there's this thing called Twitter Spaces, which I didn't know about. And it's basically like a Google Meet, but on Twitter. And I see at the top, like, these people that you follow are in this Twitter Spaces. And I joined there, and it's a bunch of Swedish people speaking Swedish, as Swedish people often do. And they were talking about trans stuff. And holy shit, you got all the talking point. Oh, the fucking progressives don't realize that there are only two genders. If I identify as a car, should I be able to cut open my sternum and put in a car engine into there? And should you then accept me and call me a car and my pronouns Ferrari, Lamborghini? Is that how you're supposed to do it? These treatments, we have no idea what they do. So many people are regretting it. We just don't know. We're just experimenting with these people's bodies. I watched this documentary once. Look at all the people online who are detransitioned. I was like, yes. Let's fucking go. I was like, ready. And how you do there is that anyone can request to speak, basically. And I requested to speak, and like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I didn't record it because it's in Swedish and it's on my phone, because you can't do Twitter Spaces on your computer, I don't think. I fucking wiped the floor with them, and it's just so disappointing. Like, there were like a couple like pretty big like Swedish political content creators, like for example Jellybean Jen was there, and like the level of discourse is so low. It's just disappointing. Unironically, it's like Swedish like politics is like one of those like nature reservation areas, like nature preserves, okay, where they've just preserved like the state of 2016 politics in Sweden. And then like throughout this entire time that I'm listening, everyone's like, oh, just the left don't like understand the truth. They're just living in their like utopia where people can do this and that, and everyone just gets along and there are no issues with it. And one of the things that gets brought up then is bathrooms. And I talk about, you know, statistics in regards to bathrooms that, hey, you know, if you don't let trans people go to the bathrooms that they identify with the bathroom. That's how gender is. Gender is really just what bathroom you identify as, by the way, in case you didn't know that. What ends up happening if you don't do that is that they're subject to higher rates of violence and sexual assaults and other stuff like that. And if you do let them go to the right bathrooms, nothing fucking happens. And then I read off a couple studies on it, and then afterwards they were just like, oh, okay, but even if the statistics say that, like, it can still happen. And at that point I was just like, I can't believe for like the last decade here in Sweden the left has had to hear that we're the ones stuck in a utopia, that we have no connection with the real world, and then they just like sidestep like the entire statistical reality on a like a given subject matter. It's actually ridiculous.
Raise your hand if you've heard of...
Hold on, who are they gonna say? Who are they gonna say? They're gonna say Tony Timpa. Are they gonna say Tony Timpa? Are they gonna say Tony Timpa?
Tony Timpa. Raise your hand.
How does he do it? How does he do it? How does he know? These conservatives, they're all the same. They're all the same. This is just generally for like public health. It's not restricting your ability or your right to buy alcohol. You can buy as much as you like. Well, as much as you like. I've always been a bit iffy on wearing this shirt on stream, and the reason for that is because it's Logan Paul merch, and I'm not sure if you know. The reason for that is because this bird right here, this one, it looks like the Logan Paul bird, but it's not the Logan Paul bird. And everybody always thinks that I'm wearing Logan Paul merch. I wore it to school once. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're wearing Logan Paul stuff." I'm like, "No, please. This is just a super dry shirt." But people think it's Logan Paul, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's Logan. It's not Logan Paul. It's just a bird shirt. It's a cute bird shirt, but it looks like Logan Paul, unfortunately. I have like recorded segments of like my stream, which I would just play whenever I had to do something. Right now, I anticipated through the help of the Swedish Säpo, the Säkerhetspolis, the intelligence agency. They predicted that I would have this conversation with Angry Hypocrite, and that I Hypocrite, and that the topic of kebab prices will come up. So I actually anticipated that this would happen, and I called up the Swedish government. And they went and what they actually did was they forced them at gunpoint to change their prices so that I could pull it up during the stream. They were running on losses throughout the period of this live stream, which will be compensated for by the socialist state of Sweden. People say my hands are big. Is that true? Like, here's it next to my face. I don't know what I'm doing. Bye bye, everybody. Have a nice rest of your day.